In the 90s, your pockets did overtime. We didn't have one device that did it all. We had 5, and we carried them like badges of honor. One clipped to your hip, one tangled in your backpack, and one in your hand. Portable gadgets weren't just about function, they were about identity. Your setup said something. Were you the kid with a belt full of gadgets like a suburban Batman, or the minimalist type? Either way, the 90s made tech personable, tangible, and loud. Flashy and sometimes annoying, but always unforgettable. Tap the like button if you ever had to untangle your headphones just for them to be back tangled the next morning. And subscribe if you still salty about your Tamagotchi dying while you were in class. And drop a comment with the portable gadget you carry like it was glued to your hip, whether it beeped, blinked, or blasted Bone Thugs and Harmony out of one headphone.
Mom, we got a better idea. We'll page you.
Before DMs, before text bubbles, before even the idea of sliding into somebody's inbox, beepers were how you let folks know, hey, call me back. In the 90s, having a beeper clipped to your waistband was a full-on status symbol. Doctors had them, hustlers definitely had them, and eventually high schoolers had them too. Once parents realized it was cheaper than a cell phone, but still kept tabs on your every move.
I want a pager. A Motorola?
Really? What's in it for me?
The concept was simple. Somebody dialed your pager number, left a callback number, and your digital rectangle would vibrate or beep like it had a purpose in life. You'd look down at the green LCD screen and see those glorious numbers. If you were fancy, you had one with alphanumeric messaging. That meant actual words. It was like reading a tweet from 1995. Let's not forget the codes. 143 meant I love you. 911 meant call me now. And 07734 upside down, that was old school for hello. Whole conversations were happening through number combinations long before emojis were even invented. Beepers came in different colors, shapes, and flex levels. You had the basic black ones from Radio Shack, transparent neon ones from mall kiosks, and the Motorola SkyTel if you were really trying to flex like a Wall Street intern. And for some folks, the pager was just for show. It didn't even work. They wanted to look like they had something popping. And the wildest part is you couldn't respond. That was the power move. You got paged, then you had to find a payphone to call back. So you're digging in your pockets for quarters like you in an arcade trying to hit somebody back before they thought you ghosted them.
Thanks to your Motorola pager, you know now. Without one,
The pager era was short, but man, it was iconic. It was the last moment when communication was slow and intentional, but still felt high tech. You weren't online, but you were reachable, sort of, and that was enough. Getting a beep was one thing, but calling back, that was where the real drama kicked in. And in the late 90s, nothing handled it with more style than the Motorola StarTAC.
Yes!
Before iPhones had Face ID and the Androids had 10 cameras, the ultimate flex was the flip. And nobody did the flip better than the Motorola StarTAC. Dropped in 1996, the StarTAC wasn't just a phone, it was a power move. You didn't answer it, you snapped it open, and that little clack sound came in. That was the ringtone of respect. Businessmen had it, celebrities had it, and if your mom had one, oh, you weren't poor, you were undercover rich. This phone was ridiculously small for its time, barely bigger than a garage door opener. It could fit in the front pocket of some Jinko jeans and still leave room for a Walkman. It had a tiny monochrome screen, a stubby antenna you always fidgeted with, and a menu system that was like navigating a cave with a flashlight. But it worked, and it looked fly doing it.
You spies should carry the Motorola StarTAC cellular phone with vibra-call alert. Try it on. It can vibrate instead of ring. It's real cool.
The StarTAC was one of the first true mobile phones that made people ditch their pagers. It had vibration mode, which was brand new back then, and people went nuts for it. No more loud rings in church or at school. Now you could get a call on the low and hit the bathroom like you were making stock trades. It was expensive, no doubt, but owning a StarTAC meant you were early to the mobile wave.
You spies should carry the Motorola StarTAC cellular phone with vibra-call alert. Try it on. It can vibrate instead of ring. It's real covert.
And that ending flip when you hung up? Chef's kiss. No touchscreen today could replicate the drama of ending a call with a crisp snap shut. Flipping was flexing. but some folks needed a phone that could take a hit or 10. Let's salute the Nokias that turned indestructible into a design philosophy.
The new Nokia phone stands by for up to 11 days, and you can talk for up to 5 hours. And it's the first mobile phone with covers you can change yourself in seconds.
If the Star Trek was the James Bond phone, the Nokias were the Terminator. Built like tanks, these phones were known for 3 things: durability, battery life, and being absolutely everywhere.
Nokia. It remembers because it's human to forget.
Let's start with the Nokia 1011. Launched in 1992, this was the world's first mass-produced GSM phone. It was bulky, it was slow, and it looked like a prop from RoboCop, but it worked. You could send texts, barely. You could make calls, usually, and drop it down a flight of stairs without losing your signal. This thing didn't break, it just bounced. Then came the Nokia 5110, released in 1998. This one was the sweet spot. It had interchangeable faceplates, which meant you could go from professional black to neon green just because it was Friday. It had the legendary T9 tech system, a battery that lasted longer than your attention span, and of course, Snake, the game, the myth, the obsession. If you weren't trying to beat your own Snake high score during math class, were you even alive during the 90s? The Nokia 8110, aka the banana phone, slid onto the scene, literally. That curved slider cover made you feel that you were answering a phone in The Matrix, and Neo actually used it in the movie. It was sleek, futuristic, and totally impractical, but we loved it anyway. These Nokias weren't flashy, but they worked. Rain, snow, being dropped in the toilet, they kept ringing. And you could use them to call your mom, crack open a can of soda, and defend yourself in a parking lot dispute. That's what you call multifunctional. Owning a Nokia in the 90s wasn't about clout, it was about reliability. These phones never quit, and honestly, half of them probably still work today. Buried in somebody's junk drawer with 3 bars of battery, still left. But while phones were for calls, some of us were organizing schedules, jotting digital notes, and pretending to be Fortune 500 execs. The Palm Pilot was the original productivity flex.
Oh, well, you know, we could check your flight from here.
You're not gonna be able.
3 hours delayed. We can still play.
So let's get to that one. In the days before smartphones, when people still wore pagers and faxed each other documents, the Palm Pilot was the original gadget of the on-the-go boss. Launched in 1996 by Palm Inc., this little device came through like calendars, contacts, notes, and to-do lists, all in your pocket. You're welcome. The Palm Pilot Personal and Palm Pilot Professional weren't just digital notebooks. They were an early attempt at cramming your whole life into a pocket-sized screen. And you know what? It kind of worked. You had to use a stylus to tap into the interface. No swiping, no pinching, just stylus to screen business. And let's not forget the graffiti system. Palm's weird handwriting language where you had to write certain letters in specific ways just to get them to register. Every Palm Pilot user basically learned a new alphabet just to write, "Meet me at 3 o'clock." It had infrared beaming too. That's right, you could beam somebody your business card across the room. Just 2 people aiming their Palm Pilots at each other like they were in a tech-based duel. And if it actually worked on the first try, you felt like a wizard. And yeah, it ran on AAAs. No lighting cables, no USB-C, just regular old batteries that could run for weeks. You weren't charging every night. You were just vibing with your digital assistant. The Palm Pilot was quiet, nerdy, and weirdly powerful. If you were a 90s professional with one of these, you weren't just living in the present, you were auditioning for the future.
The Walkman.
Ah, that's my girl. When it's the personal stereo that lets you hear the music in a whole new way, it's a Sony.
Alright, yo. Now it's time to keep it a buck. Before Spotify, before MP3s, before playlists were just a tap away, there was the Walkman, and later, the almighty Discman. These were the original soundtrack machines, and if you had one clipped to your hip or stuffed in your JanSport, you already know you were living right. Let's start with the Sony Walkman, OG status. Dropped back in the early 80s, but still running strong deep into the 90s, this was the cassette king. Pop in a tape, close the lid with that satisfying click, and hit play. Whether it was Boys to Men, MC Light, or a recorded DJ set on the radio, you was in the zone, man. You could rewind, fast forward, flip the tape, and if you were really elite, you had auto reverse, so you didn't even have to take the tape out to hear side B. That was next level luxury. Then came the Walkman, CD powered and ready to skip. A lot. Early Discmans had no anti-skip protection, which meant walking with one in your hoodie pocket was a risk. One wrong step and boom, CD era, game over. But when the anti-skip technology dropped, oh my goodness, that was a whole different ball game. You could finally walk to school while blasting DMX without missing a beat.
Shock protection protects your music from almost any jumps, skips, or sudden stops. In the Sony Car Discman CD.
And don't forget the headphones. Those flimsy, foam-covered ear crushers that barely stayed on your head but made you feel like a DJ in training. You'd adjust the metal band, blow on the CD like it was a cartridge, and hope it didn't scratch the moment you stepped off the curb. The Discman and Walkman were more than just players. They were portable vibes. They gave you control of the soundtrack of your life. And when that intro dropped on your favorite track while you were staring out the window, instant movie moment. And just like that, it's a wrap for part 2. From beepers to Palm Pilots, we just toured the ultimate 90s pocket dump. These were more than gadgets. They were personality traits. You didn't just carry tech with you back then, you wore it. You showed it off, and you competed with it. Each gadget was a piece of who you were, or at least who you wanted to be. And if this video had you in a drop top riding down memory lane, like, subscribe, and in the comments, tell us which pocket gadget you refuse to leave home without. And until next time, get ready for part 3, because it's not a game. Or is it? We out.